unpin it from the top. Actually, that was number 9 as well. I got the number wrong. And tonight is number 10. Tonight is number 10. So there we go. We're live. Let's just pin that to the top for the minute. There we go. Let's just start that. Let's put the audio on to see if we can hear it. Oh, of course that doesn't work when I do that. All right, once more. Start it and see if we can hear it. Right, start it. See if we can hear it. And tonight is number 10. Yeah, so, oops. Didn't mean to do that. All right, so Facebook's happening, bubbling. And let's just get the URL from YouTube, because it'll be the current live show. Okay, there we go. And allegedly it's that one. So you can watch it on either. There we go. So that's happening as well. Okay, that's good. So you can comment here or on Facebook. I will try and check both. And that's great. So let me just put here or on YouTube. Okay, so we're ready. So last night we basically covered pretty much all of the emotional and physical, I don't know what we want to call it, but stresses or factors in being at home. Okay, so far, before show 9, we had covered a lot of things, including social isolation and all that, but also we were covering practical things about working from home, because that would be the first thing that probably changed in your life, in that you didn't go into work, and if you could, you'd be working from home. And then how do you cope with that? So we covered that. And then somebody in the forum mentioned that they weren't new to that. They've been working at home for decades, but what they were struggling with was the emotional side of being at home socially, basically. And so we went into that. And as I say, I covered all the physical and emotional. Hang on, I forgot to put the recording on. That's not good. All right, there we go. Okay, I'm just going to start that again, if you don't mind. Okay, so hello and welcome. This is show number 10. This is basically going to be about the meaning of life. Nothing heavy then, no. But yesterday we covered basically all the physical and emotional factors in being at home socially. Okay, up to that point, we covered lots of things about the emotions of social isolation and lots of different factors. But also we covered the emotional and physical aspects of working from home, because that would have been one of the first changes for you, in that you wouldn't have been going into work. So if you could, you'd have been working from home, and then that's obviously a very different thing, and it's hard to get organized, and it's hard to focus, and it's easy to overwork, which we went into and everything. But somebody in the forum yesterday was saying that they weren't new to working at home. They'd done it for decades, but they were having a job coping with the social challenges of being at home, not working from home, but being at home. Because obviously, instead of 8 hours a day with your family, you are now 24/7 with your family, and and it feels like the escapism you got, going to see friends and going to work, and that kind of thing seems to have been taken away from you. Okay, but again, we went into that yesterday, how that's not actually the case. we went through that very, very thoroughly, so much so that we overran the show by 50%. So it was a great show, really good show. I've never seen anyone cover, what we covered. But we had a hole, which was, what do we do about the sense of purpose that we get from going to work? And even if we're working at home, we may not be getting that exact same, kind of sense of purpose, because, for a lot of people, work is, their lives. It's an important part of, what they do. It's a part of their identity and who they are and all that kind of stuff. It's not just a way to, to put, food on the table. It's about, who you are. And, and working in a team and working with, with clients and all of that, and, interacting with, other people on the team and staff and your bosses and the social aspect of it and all of that. But, if we're not going into work, where do we get our sense of purpose from? Okay, we can cope with everything else. I explained everything else yesterday about, the physical and emotional changes, but how do we cope with the emotional loss, I guess, of, the purpose of going to work? Where do we get that sense of purpose from? So we had that hole, and I wanted to leave that hole for today because I want to spend today going into it. So the first thing is that we're fairly complicated animals, and it's not, exactly that. Sense of purpose is just kind of one magic button or in one box. It comes in a variety of things. But I suppose if we were going to narrow it down, the sense of purpose comes from doing actions that affect a certain set of people. Okay, so it's about it's about who you serve. Actually, that's what I should have put in that box. So sense of purpose is about who you serve. So it's the activity and who you serve with that. Okay, I think that's reasonable. And then the other thing is we get an emotional connection out of that and emotional satisfaction out of that because of those people, really, and our part in, in the thing. And that classic line, which I know sounds like a cliche, but it really is, important, is that we all want to make a difference. Right? And when we've got an activity which has an outcome which serves, a set of people, then, that connection kind of gets formed because people understand, that we make that happen, or we understand that we make that happen. I mean, both. And that's really it. And when we don't, have to work, or when we can't work, what do we replace that with? And that I think is then where it gets complicated. Not super complicated, but more than those two things. Okay, so what I think, it comes down to are these 5 boxes here. Okay, so let's do them, kind of one at a time. So the first thing I think, is part of our sense of purpose, is we do need to grow. So that means that we need to learn. Okay, we don't want to do the same thing over and over again. Working on a factory line, doing the same thing again and again, only working on one bit of the puzzle. Only polishing one nut and not seeing how it actually gets assembled into a car. Not super satisfying. Okay, I mean there's a routine in it, and maybe you can get some comfort in, just having to do something, but it's not really, it's not rewarding in my book. It's much better when we can build a whole thing and see how the whole thing comes together, really. But again, we don't want to do, the same thing all the time. Okay, we want new challenges, we want new experiences, we want to learn new stuff, and we want to grow, because of that. So, the sense of purpose and the reward we get from the connection of who we serve and all that kind of stuff still has to be fed by this growth and learning. Okay, so that's a big thing, in my book. So I'm not really happy unless I'm learning something new. Okay, and I suspect you're the same. So, whatever we're going to replace work with, we want to, have growth and learning in that. Okay, and we're going to talk in a second maybe what that, might be. Let's just move along. So the other thing, what can I do for that one? In the middle. Okay. The other thing that we need to do. Sorry, I'm preoccupied by colouring the box now, which is not really very good, is it? Anyway, but there we go. Is we need to do stuff. Okay, not just think or plan. Okay. Okay. We actually need to do stuff. Okay, because we need to. It's going to be fun doing it, but to be honest, we need to fail at doing it. I shouldn't really use that word because that's a self-talk word, but so let me take that. We need to practice it, okay, so that we can get better and better and better, and basically, extend ourselves. Is not really the word I'm looking for, but basically we increase our skills and our knowledge and our experience, by doing stuff, not by thinking about it, by actually doing it. So doing something, it's very important. So that's kind of the opposite side of learning and growing, in some ways, because that's kind of the planning stage, and then that's not enough. Then we actually have to go and do that and actually see, what happens. We need to run the experiments, okay? Because again, that's also going to be part of the learning, but it's the other side of learning. It's the thing that makes it real, and the thing that we can share. Actually, I think that's probably where the thing comes from, because it's hard to share learning. I mean, you can tell somebody what you learned today, and maybe what that means to you or what you think it will mean to you, but it's not really until we do it that we can share it, and then we can show the output, the result of what we've done. So we need to do stuff, and it's really important that we don't forget that, and we don't just daydream and plan and learn. We need to we need to actually do the stuff and feel what it's like. And then we touched on it there, but then when we've done it and it exists, and it's our version of whatever it is, then we can share that. And sharing what we've done is is the big part of getting the connection, because we need to have done the thing to to get the connection, to get the recognition that we've done it, to show to make a difference. We have to do something. Okay. Really, it's not. We can't just be there. Just being there isn't enough. I mean, being there is is one of the most important, vital things that you can do. Absolutely, but to make a difference, we need to do something. Okay, and then we can share it. Okay, so I hope that's making sense. Um, yeah, and sharing is a really important part of it as well. There's no point just doing something and nobody in the world knows or notices or gives you any feedback. We crave, that feedback. So, it's very important that we make sharing the result of what we've done a part of, doing it. We need that. We need that feedback. We need that assessment. We need to know what difference, we're making, and we need people to recognise that we've done it. And if we don't, get that bit, and I guess that's one of the big issues of working at home is you don't get the recognition, you don't get the kind of the congratulations. You're just a kind of a remote cog in the wheel, and it just happens. And like most things about work, certainly for me, is you only get noticed when you screw up. And that's kind of the life of a home worker, is that you don't get noticed unless you screw up. Okay, so that's one of the things. So we need to get the sharing into our system. Okay, and that's what we're heading towards in a minute. We're kind of showing a system and showing all the elements we need, to get a meaning in life. Okay. Anyway, so the fourth box, we're almost there, is practice. Okay, and this is a big one, because we need to keep practicing in order to develop and get better. Okay, but the reason why that's important, the reason why I'm particularly mentioning it, is that we get very hung up on instant gratification and expecting instant results, and then we get frustrated, when it doesn't meet our own expectations, and then that makes us want to give up. So motivation really needs to come from the fact that we know, or that we accept, that we need to practice everything in order to keep our standards and increase our standards. Okay, and so nothing is failing. Everything is just learning and experimenting and doing and trying and and improving, all the time. And just like any muscle, if we stop practicing, then our performance is going to decrease. Okay, so practicing is part and parcel of it, and also practicing is really where the depth comes from. Okay, and I'm pretty obsessed with depth, because I think that's where most things go wrong, in that we try and we're so overwhelmed with choices that we just dip our fingers or toes into everything, and we get upset when we can't try everything, but it's not really fulfilling, and we're not really content, because we're always looking for the next new thing, and there always has to be a next new thing. And to be honest, the next new thing is usually pretty disappointing. Because it's new and it hasn't evolved yet, and nobody's got the most out of it yet. Whereas the people who go into it in depth, or if we do it in depth, then we understand the kind of the behind the scenes. We understand the why. We learn the whole story and history and evolution of what's going on, and it gives us a much better understanding of how it works, why it works, and how we could make it even better. And if we don't do that, if we don't do the practice, and we don't get the depth, then we're going to miss out on all of that, and everything's going to be like constant speed dating. So if you spend your entire life speed dating and never actually go out for a date with anyone, let alone getting married or anything like that, then it's not going to be a fulfilling relationship. Okay, and that's that's really it. That's what that's what I'm saying. It's unless we go into depth, it's like an entire life of speed dating and never ever actually going out on a date, and that that's not really going to work. And the other thing is, which is, I guess, might be counterintuitive, or you might not have thought it should be included in this list, but we need to be rested and relaxed so that we can re-energize. Okay, because we can't, as in anything, we can't constantly work. Okay, it doesn't matter whether we're at work or if we're at home, or what we're doing. We have to we have to allow ourselves. Hang on. There we are. We have to allow ourselves to re-energize, to become efficient. Otherwise, I promise you, you will not be efficient. Okay, I promise you. You might think you can multitask, you might think you can work forever, but honestly, you're going to be inefficient if you try and do that. Okay, so there are basic ingredients, of that really. But I'm sure that these are all elements that need to be in, our meaning of life kind of plan. Okay, all these elements need to be there, and whatever you're doing, you need to build these in, and that's really the point. And if you leave any of them out, then you're not going to have, a satisfying, meaningful life because you'll have missed something out. So I'm really serious that we have these 5 elements in here, but they're still not enough. They're the mechanics of what needs to happen. They need to be there, but it's still not enough. So what is enough? So this might almost sound like I'm contradicting myself, and maybe I am. But these 2 things need to be in the equation, and they might seem, contradictory. I don't know, but the first thing is that we need to be absorbed into something, and and basically, at the heart of who humanity is, on some level, we're explorers. Okay, some level we're explorers, and we might not all go climb up mountains and stuff, but we're all curious about stuff. Okay, we're all intrigued and interested in stuff when it's pointed out to us, when we take the moment to pause and think, wow, why is that happening, or what's that made of? How did that get to be? All that kind of stuff. So and the exploring is all part of that. Bigger than us, bigger than ourselves kind of motivation. We're all longing for something that's bigger than ourselves. And that's what makes us explorers, really. And to explore and to be absorbed in that journey, to be honest, you'll understand why I say the word journey like that if you listen to the other shows. I'm just trying to say, there we go. To be absorbed and to explore means new. Okay, you can't explore the same thing again and again and again because you've seen it. So basically, we're craving for new and fresh stuff. Okay, we're craving for it. So whatever we do, to have a purpose in life, basically we always need to be discovering or exploring, or create. In my case, it's creating things which are new. I don't create the same things again and again and again. I'm not a mold or a 3D printer. It's I'm creating new stuff. In music, I'm creating new songs, new lyrics, new textures, new arrangements, new productions, new melodies, new harmonies. Everything's new basically, Yeah, there might be some bits that get, reused in some ways, but it's about, discovering and new fresh stuff. So in a sense of purpose, we need to be discovering and finding new fresh stuff, because if we don't, then we're living a Groundhog Day where every day is the same and there's nothing new to look forward to, and there's no surprises, and there's not really any intrigue or mystery. Once you've done the jigsaw, it might be satisfying to redo the jigsaw a couple of times, but generally, when we've done the jigsaw, we want a new jigsaw. Okay, so we're constantly in search of new jigsaws. Okay, basically, and that's part of the purpose of life, because you get up in the morning and you know that it's going to be different. Okay, some things are going to be familiar and the same and reassuringly stable. Okay, gravity is still going to exist. When you make a cup of tea, it's still going to basically taste like tea, but loads of other things about the day are going to be different. Okay, and that's not just about the sequence of events and whether you meet somebody or you meet somebody else, or you don't meet somebody at all, or that one day you do one thing and another day you don't do that thing, because that's still repetition. That's still that's just reordering, rescheduling what you already know, what you've already discovered, what you can already do. Okay, there's not really any growth in that, and really, as I say, we're craving for this growth and this discovery, because we're explorers. So the purpose of life is that excitement in that you get out of bed and you don't know what's going to happen. There are going to be new things in your life. Okay, and that makes it worth living, basically. Okay, because you don't know what's coming, and that's exciting, and it might be great. I mean, sometimes it isn't great, but that's part. It's still exciting in that it's different, and the bad things tend towards the good things. Okay, so I think it is possible to have a world where there are no bad things, but we're not there yet, and maybe probably not in my lifetime. So we have to take the rough with the smooth a bit. But the point is, we wouldn't want to live in hell every single day, where it was the same thing every single day. Okay, that would be, there's no hope in that situation. The great thing about new things happening and new discoveries and all that kind of thing is we have hope in that we might find something, amazing, incredible. Okay, we might find our soulmate. We might find, our BFF. We might discover something, that helps people, and then we get, respect and acknowledged for making the difference again. Okay, so new, discovering stuff, really important part of our meaning of life. Okay, and it might seem like you can't have that life. It might seem that you've done everything and that you can't do anything new, for whatever reason. Usually it's money, or sometimes it's, ties, or just because you don't think you can leave that house and move, but at some point, you realize that you could, you can immigrate to another country. You can, go on extended tours and holidays and, whatever. It's just literally about, planning and, and maybe saving, for that. But, generally we're only limited by our own beliefs. Okay. If you don't think you can ever, leave your country, that's just because you're thinking that. There's nothing physically, well, at the moment there is, but normally there isn't anything physically stopping you from going wherever the hell you want. Okay, and if it's just money that's stopping you, I know it sounds, not blatant, but anyway, yeah. Do I mean bizarre? No, blasé. That's the word. It might seem blasé, but yeah, if it's only money that's stopping you, then just get the money. Okay, maybe you can't do it tomorrow, but if you save up and you invest it, or you earn money with it, or you do something extra to earn the extra money, or you find a way to get people to invest in you or give you a grant, or to pay you in advance of publishing your story or whatever it is, just get the money. I'm not saying it's easy, but unless we try, all I can promise you is that if you don't try, it won't happen. The chances of somebody just knocking at your door and going, here's everything you need, is, it's just infinitely unlikely. So we have to make it happen. And because, as we talked about the other shows, it's not really the goals that are important. It's not actually, getting to the top of the mountain and it's over. Really the enjoyment, the purpose of life is the journey. It's the climb to the mountain. Okay. It's the experience of being at the top of the mountain. It's being able to share that experience when you come down the mountain. And it's about finding other mountains to climb. Okay, as I say, we're constantly seeking, new stuff. So that's one thing. And then on the other side, which sounds contradictory, it's about going deep. Okay, because as I say, otherwise we're just getting a taste of everything and never really, being fulfilled and content. And so these two things kind of are at loggerheads, I guess, because we're looking for new, fresh stuff. And I'm saying to you, but going deep is the most important thing ever. So I guess it means that we have to choose to go deep on a number of new, fresh things. I guess that's what we're saying. But these two things are essential. We can't, live without both of them. So somehow we've got to find a balance. Life is basically about balance, and we need to balance these two things. So we want new, fresh stuff all the time, but on the other hand, we want to spend the time to go deeply into something so that we truly, understand and appreciate and get the most experience we can from it. Otherwise, we're going to miss the gold in the quality of the experience of the new experiences. If we don't pause to taste the new experiences, then it's such a fleeting experience, we almost miss it. Okay, do you see what I mean? So it's about this balance, about this compromise of getting these two things to balance. Okay, so as I say, I think the 5 elements in the grey circles now, are essential to the your purpose of life, and then we have to kind of balance that between new, fresh stuff and going deep enough for long enough to appreciate those new experiences. And then from all of that, then we basically get the purpose and the activity that we that are going to fulfill us and satisfy us. And then by doing that, we get the connection where we can share and we can show that we're making a difference to other people, or the people that matter to us. We can show them that we're making a difference. Okay, so that's the framework for this. So it's difficult to put it into context for you because we're not speaking as such, and you're not leaving me messages in the chat or contacting me on Messenger or asking me how it could apply to you if you are into A, B, and C. So I guess all I can do really is let you think about it for yourselves. I'm pretty certain that these 5 elements are the meaning of life, and in particular, these other 2 pillars which we have to balance. That's the kind of that's the glue, if not more, for all of those 5 things. Okay, so the only other thing I can do is kind of put it into context for me. So, um, my purpose of life, basically, as I've said before, is, I want to tell stories. I want to leave stories as my legacy, and those stories can be in the form of music or games or actual stories or films or animations or whatever it is. The physical medium of it doesn't really matter, but underneath all that is a story. It's a message. It's a view of experiences that I'm trying to share. Okay, um, but again, I can't do that all the time. It's very hard to always be the one, putting the output out. Okay, um, giving all the time, basically. Giving out ideas and emotions all the time. So I need to grow and learn myself. So I need to take input in. So I need to listen to other people's stuff and hear other people's stories. To be honest, and hear how they tell their stories to enrich the way I tell mine. Okay, so it's not about copying or plagiarism or anything like that, or it's about we're trying to communicate. In the story, we're trying to communicate a global emotions. We're trying to share emotions. It shouldn't just be me giving you my emotions. It's about me facilitating your emotions through my emotions and vice versa. Okay, even the audience, as the audience, I crave the audience, to give me feedback and give me input and help me, work on, what the next story in the journey is going to be, and everything that, all the interaction that we have, that strengthens and builds, the next story. So, I can't just be giving all the time. I have to have some input, and that is basically me growing and learning. Okay. And I can plan stuff and think about stuff and, and brainstorm ideas and, whatever. But ultimately, and actually for me, I guess one of the, the big ways to highlight this is, I should practice being a musician much more. I should learn scales and I should practice scales. Okay. And also, scales. But I don't, to be honest. And actually that works out well for me, I think, because although the downside is, unlike somebody who knows their scales, they would know what the best options were. Okay, because they've learned that, they instantly know that the next, best option for this is, is this other chord here or something like that. But the trouble with that, the downside with that is, their repertoire is limited because, they're always going to go for the best chord. Okay, the one they've been taught. Okay, maybe there's a couple of options, but generally they're taught what the next best option is. So everything they do is always going to be the perfect next best option because that's what they've been taught. Whereas I haven't been taught, I haven't bothered to learn. So everything I do is basically experimentation. And, you'd almost call it, unfortunately it's a self-taught word, so we can't really use the word, but, it's almost the mistakes that I make that are the genius. Okay. Because it's when I accidentally play, a chord that I don't even know, I've never done before, and it fits. That's the genius moment. That's the spark from the universe that, changes what I'm doing completely. And I wouldn't get that. I wouldn't, be searching for that unless I didn't know. So it's because I have to experiment because I don't know, because I haven't been taught what the next best chord is. That means I find, chord sequences that somebody who is trained would never find. Okay, because they'd always go for their best next chord, which they've been taught. Whereas I don't know any chords, let alone the next best one. So, it's literally, down to, the way that my fingers accidentally, fall on the keys, um, and, and for doing things, trying things, experimenting things that maybe shouldn't even work. And I have to go through a much longer process than than somebody who knows what they're doing, if you like, because everything is an experiment. Every single step is an experiment. I have no idea what comes next, and I have to try and try and try and try and try and try and try until I find things that work together. So, as they say on one TV show, it's a curse and a blessing. Okay, so because I have no preconceived ideas, I can have any idea, in the universe. But the downside of that is I have to try, many, many ideas until I actually find something that works. Because most of the things I do don't work. Okay, that's the downside when you don't know what you're doing. But when they do work together, there's the magic, there's the genius. Okay, but anyway, all that comes from doing. Okay, so I have to do music. So even if I don't know what song I'm going to write, even if I've got no idea, what it is or what's going to complement it or where it's going to go or how it's going to develop or anything like that, I can only solve that by doing. I can't. I could learn music theory. And that would make my process much quicker, but it would make my process very limited. So, I have to actually do, to make it. But again, there's no point in me thinking about writing a song. I've got a song in my head, and you go, well, how's it go? And I go, well, it's in my head. I can't play it to you. It's no use to you at all. I have to do it. Okay. Anyway, and then share it. So, again, obviously, as a creative person, I mainly do it because I have to. It's my emotions and I have to get them out or I might literally explode. Okay. But the other side of that is there's no point only me hearing it. So I have to share my stuff. I have to get feedback on it to understand, and to share it and to get those feelings and to find people that like what I do. And when I find people that like what I do, when I share it with them, then I'm going to get this connection over here. If I don't share it, I'm never going to get this connection because there won't be anybody to share with. So, the trouble with being, creative is you meet loads of people who don't like what you do. They prefer something else or they just don't like your thing at all. Or they don't even like your style of music at all. So it may not be personal, but as a creative, you have to constantly get rejected, until you find the people who like what you do, and then you have that connection. And it's kind of the same with all of life. It's the same with dating and friends and everything. You have to go through a lot of non-friends to find your friend. You have to go through a lot of, partners until you find your soulmate. It's just, it's just common stuff. And, and in any situation, there'll always be people who don't like you, just on principle. And it doesn't matter what you do, they will never like you because it's on principle. Okay. So, we can talk about it in woo-woo terms of, aura resonance and stuff like that. Or we can just say that, 7 out of 10 people who meet you won't like you for whatever the reason. Okay. But we're looking for the 3 out of 10 who do like us. Anyway, so we have to share. Practicing, that's definitely a part of the doing. I have to practice, what I do. The more I write music, the more I produce music, definitely. The more I mix music, definitely. The more I actually promote my music, definitely. Because you get better at explaining and finding the people who like it. But you have to practice all of that. If I don't practice, um, writing songs or playing, the keyboard or the guitar or singing, then I don't get better. I get worse. Okay, I actually get worse. So like my voice is very much a muscle. If I don't practice, I'm going to sing more out of tune. I'm going to forget how to do intonation. I'm going to not, be able to focus on getting the timing right, and all those kind of technical things that that make you a stronger musician. It's all about practice. And then lastly, I can't do music 24/7. The ideal world theory is that I would, but it's physically exhausting. It's emotionally exhausting. Okay, and and basically they're songs about life and feelings. So you have to at some point actually have life and feelings in order to write about it. But honestly, it's physically and emotionally exhausting. So you can't do it every day. Some days you just need, to step away and, let your subconscious process what's going on. You need to live a little, feel some emotions, get some emotions back by sharing it. And practice and practice stuff that isn't, what you're trying to do. It might just be, experimenting for the sake of it or whatever. But everything you do is part of building up your your repertoire of things that you can do, basically. And then again, very much so in my music career, I need to do different things. I can't write the same song or the same style of song or use the same sounds or use the same idea, again and again and again. Okay, it was not going to be rewarding. I don't want to write 100 songs about cheese. Okay, I mean it sounds like an interesting project now, but no, it doesn't. But anyway, but you know what I mean. So I need to do new stuff myself. I need to grow and reinvent myself from time to time, and and even revisit myself from time to time. Again, because that can be a new experience, or or to go back and remix something or change it, in a new way. But I have to have that freshness, because again, I don't want to do production factory music, because it's emotionally pointless, basically. And then on the other side, I can't just spend 5 minutes writing an entire song, okay, because it's not going to be a very good song, okay, and ultimately they're all going to be very much the same. It would be formulaic, okay. It's the only way you could do things that quickly. It would be to make them formulaic, and then that's not emotionally that's emotionally pointless as well. So I have to drill deep. I have to go down. I have to find the depth in what I'm doing. And unfortunately, that's the other side of music and music production and music composing. Is you might spend 3 hours on 3 chords. Okay, you might spend 5 hours on finding the perfect groove, and you might spend 5 hours on finding the perfect sound for one of the sounds in the perfect groove. And then you might spend 3 hours finding the perfect effects for that. And then, mixing, in theory, you should just be able to kind of like put all the faders at 0 and call it a day, but it never, ever, 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 ever works like that. So again, to get the perfect mix, or as near to perfect as we can get at that time, and again, you'll get better at mixing the more you practice, and practicing that particular song. The more you try and mix that song, that's the depth. The more, the better it's going to get. But on the other hand, we crave newness and freshness. So, spending a whole day in the studio mixing one song is incredibly exhausting and emotionally draining. So there we go. So that's that's kind of thing. So just on that one simple example of music composing, music writing, you can see how all these elements come together, and it is a framework because we can see that we need to put we need to build all these elements into our process. So, if we're planning a day or a half day or even 2 hours in the studio, we need to know that we have all these bases covered, and we need to know the target. Okay, we need to know that the purpose of doing this, other than to get it out before it explodes, is to share. Is to share it. Is to find the people who will like it and share it with them, so that we can get this connection. And when we get that connection, then we're going to make a difference. And then when we make a difference, then we have a purpose in life. And because the journey to get to that point has been quite varied, okay, and new, and we've had to practice and work at it and put effort in, and all of these things, that's going to give us purpose and a reason for living. Okay, so it really is the meaning of life. We really have done the meaning of life today. And ultimately, and this is the question I can't answer for you, and it's the question, as I say, you're going to need to practice answering, okay, because it may not come to you instantly. It almost certainly won't come to you instantly, or you may change your mind down the road or whatever. But you need to ask yourself, what matters to you? Okay, what matters to you? And only you can answer that question. Okay, but when you found that out, then you can apply that that framework, and then make the most of it and have a fulfilling life. Okay? And as I say, you may need to practice answering that question. Okay, and then I just want to mention one other thing from last night, just to remind you. Let me just colour this up because that's part of my purpose of life. No, it isn't, but it helps to get my message across. Anyway, so the thing that I want to just remind you of that we mentioned yesterday, it's not A or B. Okay, you'll probably end up doing them both. So it's a question of which first, okay, and that would take all the pressure off, because you're thinking, oh, should I do A or B? Oh, I'm going to miss out on B if I do A, and you're going to go through this whole thing where you beat yourself up over making even this basic choice, okay, because you're so scared that you're going to choose the wrong thing. Okay, but there is no wrong thing, because it's not A or B. Okay, it's going to be A and B. So the only question is, do you start with A or do you start with B? It doesn't matter, and even if you somehow you think you've got that wrong, it doesn't matter, because when you finish with B, you're going to start working on A. Okay, and then the other reason why this is so important is what you don't know yet. Okay, and you may think that A or B is the critical question, but in actual fact, what you don't know is that there's C, D and E around the corner, and there's even F and G around the corner. Okay, and so it doesn't matter whether you start with A or B, because what maybe is really supposed to happen is D, but it's not here yet. So we need to not waste the time, because we'll never get time back in our lives ever, and do A or B, because we're doing something, and the important thing is the experience of doing something, because we have to do something to make a difference, to get that connection, to make a difference. We can't not do anything. That's not an option. We have to do A or B, and as I say, it doesn't matter which, because you'll probably end up doing both of them. And what you don't know yet is that there's probably as I say, C, D, and E around the corner that you don't even know about. And, so maybe A or B isn't even, important really, because, D is around the corner and you don't know that yet. And then you don't know that F and G are around the corner after that. But we can't wait for G all of our lives because G may never come. Because G may come because we do A or B. Okay, you see what I mean? So, we have to do something. And we should want to do something because, as I say, it's the journey that's important. Okay, so don't fret about whether it's A or B. Don't fret about whether you're making the right or the wrong decision. There is no right or wrong decision. You just make a decision on the best information you have at that time. Yeah, which could just be what one sounds more fun. Okay, it's literally as easy as that. Yeah, which is going to be easier to get finished, which is going to be more fun to do. Okay, which ones are you really going to get in the zone for, even if it's a little bit more difficult, a little bit more challenging. So just pick one. Just pick one. Okay. No, actually, the inflection's in the pig, and just pick one. There we go. And because I say it doesn't really matter. The point is doing stuff. Okay, it's in the plan. It's in the framework. Okay, it's in the meaning of life framework. There we go. So we have literally sorted out the meaning of life. Okay, literally done that, which I think is pretty amazing for one person on a live stream. Me, I think that's amazing. But what I can't tell you, what you have to answer is what matters to you, because I can't answer that question for you. Something will matter to you, and if it doesn't, then just pick something. Just pick something, because it doesn't matter, because it's doing the something that will ultimately get you, to what you don't even know yet, which is what you really want. Okay, so that's it. We're kind of on time tonight, so we got there, but we've done the meaning of life. So I'm pretty proud of myself, to be honest. So I don't know what other show would give you the meaning of life. So there we are on The Real You, number 10. Yeah, the meaning of life. Okay, so I'll probably see you on Monday if I'm well enough. But if I don't make it, then I've given you 10 shows, and I've given you, everything I can in those 10 shows. I gave you the opportunity to interact with me, and I did the best that I could. Okay, and that's really all we can do. I practiced doing it. Okay, and it wasn't perfect. The starts were terrible. There was a lot of technology problems, but I did the best I could. I practiced doing the best I could. And there we are. I'm going to write that in the thing as my epitaph. Oh, you can look in the comments. I'm not even going to read it out. You can look in the comments and see, what I just said. I'm just going to put it in Facebook as well. There we go. So that's it. I shall see you next time. It was a pleasure serving you. Hopefully we'll, make it again on Monday. But if we don't, we don't. But as I say, tonight we did the meaning of life. So I'm pretty bowled over about that. So there we go. So I'll see you next time.